Today's episode of I Spit on Your Podcast is brought to you by Star Makers Costumes. Star Makers is located in Glendale, California, and they are available right now for all your costuming needs. Halloween is right around the corner. Do you see what I did there? So, what a better place to go to than Star Makers?
I Spit on Your Podcast.
Thanksgiving, Em.
Oh, happy Thanksgiving, Pam. The table looks gorgeous.
Thank you. Yeah, I feel good about it.
How many people are coming?
My uncle, my two cousins, Dad, Mom, and my Aunt Gwen.
Aunt Gwen. Have I met her?
Probably not. She was in prison for a while.
Oh.
Yeah, she's a mess.
I'm so sorry.
It's cool. My crazy family is used to it by now. Just don't turn your back to her.
What?
That must be Aunt Gwen.
Is there anything I should know?
The back thing. Just make sure she's in your sights.
Other than the back thing.
Hi, Aunt Gwen!
Pamela, look at you! Look at your bosoms. They've grown. Have you had your period yet?
I'm 35, Aunt Gwen. This is my friend Em.
Well, look at this pretty thing. She's definitely had her period.
I'm 28, so yeah.
Well, I don't know. I don't know your life. My table setting is stunning. I shouldn't expect anything less. Is your drunk whore of a mother coming?
Aunt Gwen, she hasn't had a drink in 4 years.
Doesn't make her less of a drunk. There are people who stand up in AA and say, my name is Dan, I'm an alcoholic, and Dan's been sober for 15 years, still a drunk.
Oh, so we're skipping over the whole whore comment? Yeah.
Aunt Gwen, can I get you something to drink?
Sangria.
Be right back.
So tell me about yourself, Em.
Oh, I'm a singer. I have this podcast.
Can you hold on to this for me?
Is this?
Drugs of all kinds. Darling, pop 2 of the pink ones before appetizers and welcome yourself to the family. Hey, Pam, how's that sangria coming?
Pam. Please don't make me greet your family alone. Pam!
Hey, this is episode 2 of I Spit on Your Podcast. My name is Pam.
I'm Dan.
And I'm Em.
Yeah, we're all here together again.
I didn't think we were going to come back for part 2.
For episode 2?
I didn't think we were gonna come
Episode
back.
1 was such a disaster. We didn't think we'd make it back.
Came back, yeah.
Oh, well, here we are.
I'm very
We
excited.
would never abandon you, Dan.
Thank you.
This is going to be a good one.
What are we talking about?
Today we are addressing the main topic of crazy families.
Yes. There's so many.
So many to choose from.
We're leading off with Ready or Not.
Ready or Not. One of the ultimate crazy family movies.
Yes, starring Samara Weaving, who I don't know if you guys know this, is Hugo Weaving's niece. Hugo Weaving's niece.
I don't know
Hugo Weaving.
I was going to say, call me
you
uneducated, but I don't know.
Are you kidding me? He's V for Vendetta, Matrix,
Okay.
Lord of the Rings. He's the elven father.
Has he made a horror movie? I'm just asking.
Know your audience, baby.
I
Know your
am
audience.
stunned. Oh my God,
Hey,
he's so
look,
amazing.
I liked The Matrix just as much as the last person.
Also Adam Brody, who I've been a big fan of since the OC.
Just adorable to watch.
I never watched the OC. I
Yeah.
saw him in some movie with Kristen Stewart and fell in love
Oh, in the
with
Land of
him.
Women
Yes.
with
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer.
Meg
How
Ryan.
dare you?
Sorry, our opening scene was inspired by Michelle Pfeiffer in the movie Mother, so I have her in my head.
Oh, excellent.
My Aunt Gwen wasn't that Michelle Pfeiffer. It's like my mom meets Michelle Pfeiffer.
Michelle Pfeiffer
The
from-
name Aunt Gwen comes from Kevin Williamson's Dawson's Creek, season 3,
No.
played by Julie Bowen.
Oh, I love that. Learn something new every day on this podcast.
Samara Weaving.
She was so good.
Yeah, I
Pretty?
loved
Oh
her.
my God. I
thought
can't
she
stop
was
looking at her
Gorgeous,
face.
yeah, but she's also just like very
She's really
talented,
good.
and
Yeah.
they couldn't give she had to hold up so much of the movie. So much of it is her struggle with this family well, let's talk a little bit about what it's about. This woman is getting married to the love of her life, and he has a secret, and that secret is his family. It's crazy. Basically, they're big game inventors. They are responsible for some of our favorite games ever, and tradition says that every time they bring a new person into the family, they have to play a game. So the night of the wedding is the night that this poor, unsuspecting woman has to play a game. And there's like this magic box and a card comes out, and that's the game that they have to play. And usually it's relatively easy backgammon or... Shoots and ladders, whatever. But this time, she gets the death card. It's a hide and seek. But the way this family plays it is that if they have to find her before dawn, sunup, right?
Midnight to dawn.
Yeah, they have to find her and kill her, or their whole family is going to die from this curse that's on their family from this ghost-like figure that sits at the head of the table.
And if she makes it until dawn, then she's welcomed into the part of the crazy, rich, eccentric family.
Well, so I want to jump to that right away. So spoiler alert, which you have to know, most of our episodes are going to have spoilers in them. But so she marries in. She's technically legally married into the family. She plays this game, and at the very end, they all spontaneously combust, which I thought was freaking hilarious, because you don't know if it's going to happen or not.
I didn't know that.
And here's the thing. They, you think you might get a curse. They deliver a curse.
They deliver a curse, because you go through the whole movie going, oh, nothing's going to happen to them. They're just crazy. They think that there's this curse, and then they all blow up
normal.
at the end.
They're just trying to protect That's amazing.
So what I wanted is that last shot when she's just bruised and broken and dirty and soot from the fire.
And still
she's
hot.
sitting there like Veronica at the end of Heathers, and she puts a cigarette in her mouth. I wanted her to spontaneously combust at the end because she's a part of the family.
Oh.
Yeah.
No, but she made it till dawn.
Legally a part of their
and
family.
she became a part of their family. That's
She should have blown
hysterical.
up. She should have blown up.
Should have blown up.
I'm glad she didn't. I loved her journey. I
Yes.
loved the fact that the dress was completely white and then completely red at the end of it.
yeah, of course.
like, all that great visual stuff was beautiful to watch. I
Way
thought,
too much spent on the butler guy. The groundskeeper / butler.
Oh, it's always the groundskeeper.
the way they dispatched people, I thought that was lovely.
Yes.
That was fun.
It was super funny
Yeah,
and ridiculous.
super fun.
And my only problem with the tone was that sometimes I didn't know what tone, like their tones weren't unified. So there'd be times where they were spending a lot of energy making you feel things for certain people, and then in the next scene somebody makes a joke about somebody's head getting decapitated. So it was a lot of like mixed emotions for me. I know you kind of felt differently.
Yeah, I felt tonally, I accepted it because it was so over the top. We had people literally exploding at the end. So the fact that they had me feeling anything for these people, I thought was a feat, was great. And that is attributed to the acting, of course, I think.
Oh, the performances across the board were great.
Andy McDowell. This was my I think it's my favorite thing to watch her in. I just thought she was
hands down the best thing she's ever
pretty
done.
awesome.
It looks like she's having a blast throughout the whole thing.
She's a very controversial actress. Some people really are not on the Andy McDowell train. I've never had a real problem with her, but people like get violently angry when they hear that she's in things. I've never had. I mean, she was in some of our like, you know,
love her in, was it Groundhog Day?
Oh yeah, she's
Groundhog Day.
actually she drove me crazy in Groundhog Day.
No, she drove me crazy in Phenomenon.
I've never seen that, but
Wait,
I'll
she
take your
wasn't
word
in
for it.
Phenomenon. What's the one
Was
where she sings
Michael.
My Mio, My I
Michael.
Love, right? The
With
other John Travolta.
The other John Travolta.
Yeah, she drove me
is
crazy.
Is he an alien
in
or an
that
angel?
movie.
Same thing.
He's an angel. Oh yeah, but in Phenomenon.
Phenomenon.
What's wrong with John Travolta?
That's a different podcast.
Yeah.
That's,
Oh my God. We
What's
should
wrong-
start
that's-
that. What's wrong with John Travolta? I think that
Next
podcast
podcast.
probably
it
exists.
may be out there.
So let's talk about another movie that involves a crazy family. Let's go back a little old school, and also there's been relatively modern remakes of these two movies, Texas Chainsaw Massacre and Hills Have Eyes.
Yes. What's great about Texas Chainsaw and Hills Have Eyes, I'll go with both of them. The family units, I think, and that's a good parallel for Ready or Not. The family units, there is a method to the madness. You know, they are if one of them's crazy, they're all crazy. It's interesting. In Hills Have Eyes, you kind of have Ruby. She's the young one who kind of knows better, the young one who kind of wants to help. You always kind of have one of them that kind of breaks away from the family and is like, no, I'm going to help the person.
And also in non-family horror movies, like Last House on the Left, there's always that one that you can maybe reason with, of the gang that's killing people.
You know what's interesting about The Hills Have Eyes, which I have never experienced watching any other movie, was the fact that I could not stand the main guy who was going to go get his baby. I hated him. I hated him from the beginning. I was like, this guy's an asshole. I don't root for him. I don't care what happens to him. And then at the very end, I was like, I love him. I must watch everything with this man. It was like it was the only time I've ever like actually felt like it was just so extreme from disgust to like, he's my hero.
Yeah.
It was so weird how he redeemed himself.
Well, I mean, that's what's great about it. I know we're focusing a lot on the remake of Hills Have Eyes. I just love it. But I think what's great about that is you do have, like you said, there's the journey of him. He's not very likable, you know. He's not really the strong
But what could be
figure.
Worse than him? Let's meet the family.
We bring in these mutants,
crazy.
exactly. And Pam just hit it on the head. That's kind of what I like about that film and what it does so well. You get to see that's some evil right there. The fact that he's not being the man that he could be, but we've got some other evil out there too.
Yeah, with these two movies, you know, you've got these people coming from out of nowhere, and they're driving and taking in the scenery, and everything's the calm before the storm. And then they meet the crazy family. Whether it's Texas Chainsaw or Hills Have Eyes, these family want these people dead.
Yeah.
They can agree on that. They should make a joint movie where the two families come together.
Oh my God.
Just call it Family Reunion.
Family Reunion.
I don't know if in Texas Chainsaw, is there someone who kind of breaks away from the family and is like, let me try to get you
Like
out
some
of here?
humanity.
Actually, it might be Leatherface.
Right. He's
Like,
the
if you think about it, he might be the one that you could potentially reason with.
He's just trying to help them, but then the chainsaw gets the better of him, and he just...
It was
You
actually...
you can't put a razor in Sweeney Todd's hand. You can't put a
and say, give me a haircut. It's just a little off the top, please. No, you're right. Yeah.
Leatherface.
And I guess I was thinking a lot about the remake today of Texas Chainsaw with that family unit, and they address it more in the second one, the prequel. I was at Texas Chainsaw the beginning, but Hoyt is basically the sheriff. He's kind of the biggest. He's the leader.
worst
He's the leader of that
character.
family, and you kind of see even his wife. They're not necessarily all on board. They're all on board with him being crazy, and they're like, "Oh, he's at it again. He's doing that thing where he's eating people." But no one's necessarily diving in. No one, they're not like, "Can't wait to eat another person." Whereas, Ready or Not, that family, what I love about them is that they're all into the crazy.
They're all conflicted.
into
I
it.
disagree. I think
Well,
Adam Brody
Adam
is
Brody.
super conflicted.
And
Yeah.
And
Adam
so
Brody.
is
The
Andy
husband?
McDowell.
Oh, yeah.
She really likes the daughter.
Yeah, but
and
not
she's-
enough to break tradition.
Well, no, she
Not
doesn't want her family to spontaneously combust.
Right, so
Yeah.
you're right. There is conflict.
Yeah.
It's a great, you don't know what you're marrying into.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
So let's talk about two new movies that involve crazy families.
One of your favorites.
I love Get Out
Yes.
so much.
Jordan Peele.
I love it so much, and I don't even want to talk about the other movie I have written here because it's Hereditary, and I'm one of those people who's on the why team. No, okay, I do want to say something really quick about Hereditary.
Should we start with that first then?
Yeah, let's start
Okay,
with
we're gonna start
Hereditary.
with
Get it out of the way.
Get it out.
So with Hereditary, I loved the first 3/4 of this movie.
Yeah,
like
same.
I thought the family drama aspect, edge of your seat, what's going on. I thought the performances were phenomenal. I was on board with Toni Collette from beginning to 3/4 in. Then when they do the family seance in the house, from that point to the end, I was no longer on board. I wanted nothing to do with the explanation of why things were happening the way they were happening. And it's the most controversial movie I've ever discussed before. I really can't think of another one as far as like people who love horror and I was so viscerally upset because I loved the first 3/4 so much, and that's why the final act just made me furious.
Yeah, it definitely felt like
Agreed.
two separate movies, but apparently that's how they meant it. There was like
Sure.
an interview with Vanity Fair, and they're like, "Oh yeah, it was a conscious decision." I was like,
Yeah,
"What does it mean?"
Sure.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't hate it. I'm not so divided on it. I was along for the ride. That's what I think, Ari Hester as a director, I found this out with Midsommar. I trust him to take me on a ride. I do. He's going to give me great, strong visuals that are well thought out. And I'm not always going to agree with where he takes me, but he's going to take me on a great ride. And so, with that said, I agree with you guys. I enjoyed the first half of Hereditary significantly more than the ending. However, I appreciate the journey that he took me on.
That's the only thing I appreciated was the journey to the destination. It was the destination that I did not sign up for.
It was very
I
confusing.
wasn't so...
The smiling naked man in the corner of the attic
It's unsettling.
made me
He's
stand
unsettling.
and think about walking out.
And that's what it's supposed to do.
And when she bicycles through the air.
That was so stupid.
I don't understand what that was either. It
So
was
mad
very
just
strange.
thinking about it. And I gave it a second chance because there's been movies that...
Oh, I haven't.
Oh, I gave it a second chance. There's been movies that I
will.
I really had strong negative reactions to when I first saw them, and now they're like my favorite movies ever.
Oh.
One of them is my favorite movie of all time. The first time, and forgive me for saying this because you have to understand now it's my favorite movie of all time, is Waiting for Guffman. The first time I saw that movie, I was like, I found it boring. I didn't get it, and I was young. But then I saw it again, and I was like, this is brilliant and half-baked.
Oh, okay. Solid.
What I will say about all of those movies and Ari Aster, I'm going to bring them all together. Don't worry. They put you in a world. It is a world of its own that is very well thought out. Whether it's Half-Baked that we're thinking about, where you get some visuals that are cartoonish.
Or Blaine,
and
Missouri.
animated.
Yeah.
Exactly. Or Blaine, Missouri. It's these heightened people.
Yeah.
It's these characters. But again... If you paint me that big of a picture and take the time to do it and make it that detailed, I appreciate it. I do.
Hereditary really just made me super uncomfortable. There was only one moment where I was actually scared, and it was the very first scare of the entire film. It was when she was in the upper room and she just subtly looks to the left and there's her mother.
Oh, yeah.
I was probably the most scared or uncomfortable I've ever felt.
Yeah, and then you're waiting for that to happen again, and then a little girl's head gets chopped off.
And that's my favorite moment. Not the girl's head getting
his
chopped off. When she sees
Just
her mother, that's
so
my
subtle.
favorite scene. No, not when the girl gets her head chopped off.
But that sucked.
It's
But
strong.
the son's reaction to
Alex
it was
Wolff.
phenomenal.
That actor
his
is
performance,
incredible.
and I hear he's still not right. So
Yeah. From that experience?
Yeah.
He went method. He was Peter for 3 months before filming.
I can't abide.
That's crazy.
That's
I mean, he didn't even need to look behind him.
Actually,
he just knew.
to me, the most riveting parts of Hereditary were Tony Collette and his reaction to the death of that little girl.
Oh yeah.
And Ann Dowd. I love.
I was just gonna say.
I love Ann Dowd.
What can't she do? Okay,
I love her.
Handmaid's Tale. She's phenomenal,
Oh,
and
right.
hasn't been. I mean, she's been on the scene for a very long time, but it hasn't been that she's been recognizable. I think, except for the last few years, the last 5 years, maybe.
Yeah.
5, maybe a little more.
I would say it's right. I mean, Handmaid's Tale definitely put her on the map, but before that, she was definitely she has a reputation.
Yeah, she's so great.
She's phenomenal.
Super strong.
Love her.
So let's talk about Get Out now.
Okay.
Yes. Well, again, I just want to say, talk about a family that is all in. They are methodical to a point.
100%. All
that's
in it to win it.
All of them. They all know their individual part to play, and so I love that.
This is such a random fun fact, but the audience was freaking out about the fact that she was eating her Fruit Loops separately from drinking her milk.
Right.
Because to separate the color from the milk.
Exactly.
But I heard that wasn't intentional.
Yeah, he was just like, oh, I had no Jordan Peele. He was like, it was
Isn't that
definitely not.
hysterical?
Oh, I thought that was one
But
of
like,
the
how good is
intentional
that for
ones.
someone to
Jordan
that
should have
up?
owned it because it was such an incredible.
I thought he did place that in there specifically.
No,
did he, not?
He was
I
just
heard
like, I
that it-
wanted it to just be really weird and uncomfortable.
Oh, and that's
He didn't
how
think
you
about
do
what it means to separate
Separate
the white
color.
from the
He's
color.
just subconsciously genius.
Oh wow!
I love that. I love Jordan Peele so much. I can't
Yeah,
wait.
he's incredible.
I loved Us as well, but and that's another crazy
I was
family
gonna say again,
movie.
a family unit.
But I loved Us, but Get Out for me was like far.
It was
very
phenomenal,
superior
I
film.
think I just loved watching Us.
Yeah,
I don't know.
It was
I think,
a fun ride.
I'm not to say that I love one more than the other. I hate to do the comparison, apples to oranges.
I will
with the
do. I will
director,
compare
but-
all day.
But I am looking more forward to rewatching Us than I am to going back to Get Out. I want to see more things in Us that I
I
may
would
not
totally
have picked up on.
rewatch Us. I loved it.
I loved it.
Absolutely loved it. But Get Out got inside of me. I felt like I was in, what is it called? The place,
The Sunken Place.
the sunken place.
Yeah.
It was just, it had an effect on me. I don't know.
Also, I feel like Us. I really feel like that movie was left up more for interpretation.
Sure.
Whether or not.
There was a bigger, I don't even say a bigger meaning because both of them had such intense messages.
Right, and where Get Out, I understand shot by shot. There was like BuzzFeed articles that came
Yeah.
out that was like, this is every single thing.
This is why they did what they
This is
did.
all the symbolism. And I kind of appreciated that wasn't so circulatory before seeing Us.
Mm-hmm.
And I really did love coming to my own conclusions with it.
Did you see Us?
I did not.
Oh,
We
put it on the list, girl. We're
Come
gonna
with
do it.
us to watch Us
Oh.
after we record this
Podcast.
Very nice. Very nice.
So two very underrated horror films we're going to talk about right now to wrap up this segment. Mother with Jennifer Lawrence and Mother's Day, original and remake.
Mother's Day is like one of my favorites.
I love Mother's
love
Day.
it so much.
And both
Original
are so
and
different.
remake.
They're both so different.
And I love the 2010 remake, man. I do.
Oh my god.
There should be more to that. Should I defend it?
I mean, I have a hard time with parts of the remake. Obviously, the original is insane. Mother's Day, the original.
Yes.
We can agree that movie is...
Well, like I said, I like
Fruitless.
method to my madness, right?
Sure.
And in that version, you've got the two sons that are willing to do anything for their mother.
Yeah.
And that's kind of it. That's all you
Yeah.
get. And so what I like about in the remake, it's still that very just deliberate rule of whatever mother wants, mother gets. Like everything is still all around mother. But I like how the family works together in the remake. I like how they have the daughter come in. What's it, Deborah Mole? Is that her name?
Yeah.
Deborah Ann Mole?
Yeah,
From True Blood.
True Blood,
and
yeah.
Daredevil.
The red
Oh, I
Love
love her.
So they bring in a daughter, so you get to explore that a little bit.
And she's the one of the family that's...
She's the weakest.
The weakest.
She's the one that they, kind of say, mother's telling you things.
The
like,
stakes-
We need to,
Yeah.
get you away from her. Yeah.
And the stakes are definitely higher in the remake, for sure. Like, they were very smart about that. But there was something so gritty and uncomfortable about the original that was missing from...
Yes.
The rawness of the original was missing from the
They're
remake.
so different they're commenting on such different things. The first one's much more about consumerism and the fact that it takes place at a self-help. The first scene takes place at a self-help camp, things like that.
Now, Mother's Day, you've never seen, right?
No.
But you've
Remake or
seen...
original?
Oh yeah, Mother. That was one of the. So I knew nothing going into this film. I can't even. Did we watch that together? I don't remember. I don't remember where or who I watched it with. I just know I sat down to watch this movie because I freaking love Jennifer Lawrence.
I love her, too.
And she's amazing. And I sit down and watch this movie and I'm like, this is so good. First, I had no idea where it was going. I thought it was just a spooky movies. Maybe there's a haunting. I don't know. Crazy people coming in and out. And when people kept coming in, I was like,
You're just so
this
frustrated
is gonna
for her.
get really completely. And then it was. I don't think it was until the man. What's his name? I love him too. her husband.
Oh, Javier Bardem.
Javier Bardem, who I love as well. It wasn't until he started getting that God complex that I was like, this is what this is about. I didn't even Google a single thing, and I instantly made that connection when he started getting weird.
Now, I felt the whole biblical aspect of it was definitely like a dead horse for a lot of it. However, I saw it immediately following a traumatic breakup, and I gotta say, I connected to it on a very personal level that had nothing to do with the Bible. And I think that that's one of the great things about Mother is like, if you can kind of you enjoyed it for what it was meant to be. It was meant to be a Mother Earth and that kind of thing. And I enjoyed it for a totally different reason. But it broke one of my horror rules. I can't watch horror movies where anything happens to babies or animals.
Yeah.
Unless it's off screen. So like funny games. I could handle the dog falling out of the hatch because I didn't see the dog die. I can't watch.
The baby was rough.
That.
Yeah.
But it drove it home though.
There's things about Mother I enjoy. Those characters are so broad. They are symbolic. They just are. They're walking symbols, which is great for interpretation. Like you just said to Em, you can enjoy it on multiple levels. You can either go right in for the biblical stuff, or if not, you've got these great big caricatures to enjoy, which is why I love watching Michelle Pfeiffer in that movie. Just because I think she's so grand and it just looks like she's
phenomenal.
having fun.
She's phenomenal.
And she looks beautiful and sexy, and she's getting to do all the things I want to see Michelle Pfeiffer do. So that's what I love about that movie. In the family context, if we want to talk about that, I guess
you've got a family that was comfortable and happy, and another family that came in and disrupted everything.
But they weren't comfortable and happy. That was the thing. Jennifer Lawrence and her.
They weren't. They weren't. But it was like the dad in Hills Have Eyes. Like, what's going to be worse than this feeling? Oh, let's bring them in. You know?
But that's the thing. It's like, do you blame Michelle Pfeiffer? Then are they these villains? I don't know. I don't see
who is the villain.
I don't see Michelle Pfeiffer and Ed Burns. I just see them have this crazy fucking family where even their sons turn on.
Ed
Harris. I'm sorry. What am I saying?
Right.
The young
Adam and Eve.
Yeah.
So, but the fact that they're, the sons, even that's the strongest conflict. Is really they kill each, right? The one kills the other one. That's very Cain and Abel. But they're not evil. They're not,
I just loved everything that was building up inside of her that she couldn't scream out, that she couldn't fight against, and then it shows up in her environment. Like, it isn't even her, it's everything around her, and it just gets worse and worse and worse for her, and there's war, and some people found it ridiculous, but I found it I connected so much to it because it's like what's going on inside of you is so loud and scary and awful that it had to get ridiculous on the outside to match what she was feeling on the inside. And I thought it was beautiful. I really loved it.
And the director, Darren Aronofsky, is that pronouncing right? That's what he felt when he wrote this. He had so much rage and anger about all this shit that humanity's doing to Earth, et cetera, et cetera. And he wrote this whole script in 5 days out of pure rage of just that emotion. 5 days, that was it.
Well, it is a little masturbatory in a lot of ways, where he said that he wrote Javier Bardem to be himself. And it's blindingly obvious, that aspect of it.
Okay, so today's topic on, murderous families. I wanted to bring up one family in particular in my historical findings. By the way, there's a lot more family murderers than I thought. Apparently, it's a popular...
Good to know.
So the first one that stuck out, I think, was like the largest family murderers ever, and there's still a bit of a debate whether or not it's true or not, but it's called the Bean Clan, and it was apparently a huge gang of family cannibal murderers. Oh my god.
That's not where I saw that going.
Right? So, no one knows for certain if it's like real, but apparently they lived between like the 13th and 16th centuries in Scotland, and as the story goes, Sonny Bean and his wife took up a residence at a cave called the Banan Cave just after they were married. Mr. Bean decided to support his family by robbery. Obviously, normal. Being soon determined, he had to kill the victims he robbed so that he wouldn't get caught. The decision,
Cover your tracks.
his decision to murder the robbery victims quickly led to the idea to eat them as well. You've killed them, what are you going to do with them?
This all makes sense.
So then Mr. and Mrs. Bean began raising children on a diet of human meat. And as the children grew up, they began to take part in the murdering and the cooking. And the Bean clan was known to kill about half a dozen victims, even in one ambush. So the family continued to grow, and the killings went on until one day when an ambush went wrong, and the murderous family members were surprised and overwhelmed by dozens of witnesses to their latest attack. Shortly after, all 48 members of the family were captured and executed for their crimes. 48!
How were they executed?
I'm not sure.
I want it to be like the Romanovs. Like they were all put up against a wall and shot to death.
Oh no,
Sorry,
no,
I'm totally
that's a different
anti-death
topic.
penalty too, so I don't know where that came from. Thank you so much for listening to episode 2 of season 3's I Spit on Your podcast.
Yay! What are we talking about next time?
We're going to talk about horror movies that scared us as children.
Ooh.
So horror first. And I think we should also talk about celebrities whose first movies were horror films.
Ooh, that's good.
Not bad at all.
I thought I'd throw that.
Okay.
I threw that at them
You
out of
literally
nowhere.
did.
There was
Just-
no preparation.
Nope, there never is.
That true terror.
I don't know what to do with it.
So you can find us on Twitter, Spit on Your PCast.
Yay, follow us, ask us questions, maybe some subjects you guys want to hear about, and we'll respond, and maybe you'll hear it on the next podcast.
Maybe.
Oh my god, you almost had a harmony there.
I'm sorry.
I was trying to be like bad harmony,
Dan
like
blew it!
It's that time of year, the doorbell rings, and you know you have much to fear.
Mama is looking kinda crazy. Daddy's standing with a knife shaking.
Brother knows exactly what he's taught to do. Sister's got the spices for a human stew.